Hello everyone, welcome to this video lecture of this course finite element method. So this is the first lecture of module 2 that we will be discussing here. So this module 2, it is actually the one-dimensional problems that will be discussed here. So in the earlier module 1 we have discussed the concept of the finite element method, then its historical background, then different or the general steps, which are actually the 10 general steps that we need to follow while solving different problems of the finite element method. Then the concept of the element and nodes, and what is discretization, aspect ratio, then the concept of the degrees of freedom. So all these things, these theory parts were discussed in details in the earlier module. Then we have discussed different numericals based on the weighted residual method, then Rayleigh-Ritz method. All these things we have seen. The 7 different steps of the Rayleigh-Ritz method, then how to calculate the Rayleigh-Ritz parameter, the strain energy, potential energy. All these things were discussed in details. So in this similar manner, in this module also, we are having actually 8 different lectures, and there we will discuss the one-dimensional problems in case of the bar element, then the stiffness matrix, in case of the spring matrix. So all these things, that is mainly the F equals to KU based on this formula. We will discuss different theory part and different numericals. Okay, so let us start the first lecture of this second module. So first we will discuss the stress, strain, displacement and loading. Now the concept of the stress, then strain, displacement or the loading, this is actually familiar to us, but here we will discuss the mathematical representation, and based on those mathematical representation how to solve different numericals. In case of the one-dimensional problem, the stress, strain, displacement and loading, this actually depends only on the variable x. So the vector u, sigma and e, it can be written as a function of x, that is u equals to ux, which is the displacement, and sigma equals to sigma x, which is the strain, which is actually stress, and e equals to ex, which is the strain. The stress strain relationship is actually known to us, which is based on the Hooke's law. So sigma equals to Young's modulus into strain. So sigma, this is the stress, and the unit is Newton per millimeter square. Then strain, this is actually that small e, and capital E, this is the Young's modulus. Now the stress strain relationship, it is we have seen now, but the strain displacement relationship, this relationship, this is actually E equals to du dx. Now this relationship, it is also we have discussed while discussing the general steps of the finite element method in the earlier module. So the differential volume now can be written as dv equals to a dx. And there are actually 3 types of loading which acts on the body. This loading, these are actually the body force, then traction force and the point load. So now this finite element modeling, it actually consists of the following methods, which are discretization and the numbering of nodes. So in brief, we have discussed the concept of the discretization and numbering of nodes in the earlier module. So what we have seen, that is the discretization, it is actually the breakdown or to subdivide a complex structure or a shape into a convenient number of smaller components, which are actually the elements. and these elements are actually connected by the nodes or nodal points to each other. Now let us consider a bar which is shown in figure 2.2, that is the leftmost diagram in this slide. Now the first step is to model the bar as a stepped shaft. So let us model the bar using the 5 finite elements, each having a uniform cross section, which is shown in figure 2.3. So this is the first step where we have modeled the bar as a stepped shaft. Now every element connects two nodes. The 5 element 6 node model element, it is shown here in figure 2.4. Now the element numbers are circled so that it can be distinguished from the node numbers. So here you can see the total 5 circles, that means the 5 elements we are having here, and total 6 nodes or the node numbers we are having. The cross-sectional area, traction forces and body forces, these are constant within each element, but these are differ in magnitude from element to element. Now, better results are actually obtained by increasing the number of the finite elements. Next, we are having the numbering of nodes. Now, in case of the one-dimensional problem, each node is allowed to move only in plus minus x direction. So each node has 1 degrees of freedom. So this degrees of freedom, this is actually a nodal displacement. Now a 6 node finite element model, it is shown in this figure 2.5. So it has 6 degrees of freedom, which is its nodal displacements. Now load is considered as positive if it is acting along the plus direction. In the element connectivity table, which you can see in figure 2.6, the heading 1 and 2 refer to local node numbers of an element, and the corresponding node numbers on the structure are called the global numbers. Now the connectivity thus establishes the local global correspondence. So in case of this figure 2.6, A and B, in case of this A we can see the local numbering, and in case of figure 2.6b, in the connectivity table we can see the relationship in between the local number and global number. Now in case of this finite element analysis problem, we will deal with 3 different coordinates, which are global coordinates, local coordinates and natural coordinates. So what is these actually, these 3 different coordinates? First we are having the global coordinates. Now the points in the entire structure, these are defined using coordinate system. It is known as the global coordinate system. So the example in the form of a diagram, it is shown in this figure 2.7, that is the one dimensional bar. The nodes and elements, these are shown here, and in case of figure 2.2, 2.8, that is the two-dimensional triangular elements, the nodes and elements, these are also shown here. Now in case of the local coordinate system, in case what happens, that is in finite element method, separate coordinate is used for each element. So it is very useful for deriving element properties, but the final equations are to be formed only by global coordinate systems. In case of this first figure, you can see that the elements and the nodes, these are represented. Now for the element 1, it is having the nodes 1 and 2. Then the element 2, it is having the nodes 1 and 3. These are the local coordinates. Then in case of the element 3, it is having the nodes 3 and 2. In the element 4, it is having the nodes 3 and 4. And the element 5, it is having the nodes 2 and 4. So these are the distribution of the local coordinates from the global coordinate system. Next, in case of the natural coordinates, what happens actually, a natural coordinate system is used to define any point inside the element by a set of dimensionless numbers whose magnitude never exceeds unity. So what it does actually, this natural coordinate system we use to define any point inside the element. So we define that by a set of dimensionless numbers whose magnitude actually never exceeds the unity. Now this system, it is very useful in assembling of stiffness matrices. And this first diagram, that is 2.10, we can see that the natural coordinates in one dimension. Here let us consider a two-noded line element which is shown in these elements. We are having two different nodes. Now at any point P inside the line element is identified by two natural coordinates L1 and L2 and the Cartesian coordinate x. Now node 1 and node 2, these are having the Cartesian coordinates x1 and x2 respectively. Now we know that the total weightage of natural coordinates at any point is unity. So that means we can write that L1 plus L2, this is equals to 1. So this is our equation number 2.1. Now any point x within the element, it can be expressed by linear combination of the nodal coordinates of node 1 and 2. So how to represent that one? That is L1 x1 plus L2 x2, this is equals to x. So this is our equation number 2.2. Now if we arrange this equation 2.1 and 2.2 in matrix form, then we can write that the matrix 1 1 and x1 x2 multiplied by L1 L2, this is actually 1x in vector form. So that means the L1 L2, this can be written as the inverse of the matrix, that is 1 1 x2 multiplied by 1x, that matrix. So now if we take this 1 by x2 minus x1 as common, then we are left with x2 minus 1 and minus x1 and 1 multiplied by 1x. So this is actually the inverse formulation of the matrix, and the matrix inverse, that means the process of the matrix inverse, it is actually known to us. To take the inverse of the matrix, what is minor, to place all those things, we need to remember that part. So that means we can write 1 by x2 minus x1 and multiplication of the other two matrices, which is x2 minus x and minus x1 plus x. So that means after two steps we are getting 1 by L into x2 minus x and x minus x1, because x2 minus x1 is the length of the element, which is L. So that means we can represent that L1 L2, this is actually x2 minus x by L and x minus x1 by L. So this variation of L1 and L2, it is shown in figure 2.12 and 2.13. So that L1 is 1 at node 1 and it is 0 at node 2, but L2 it is 1 at node 2 but it is 0 at node 1. So the variation of L1 and L2, in this diagram we can see the variation of L1 in figure 2.12. You can see that the L1, it is 1 at node 1, but in case of the node 2, that L1 equals to 0. And again in figure 2.13, where the variation of L2 is represented, there you can see that L2, it is 1 at node 2, but in case of node 1, this L2, this is equals to 0. So that means the integration of polynomial terms in natural coordinates can be performed by using the formula. The mathematical representation that we need to remember, that is integration x1 to x2, L1 to the power alpha, L2 to the power beta dx. So this is equals to factorial alpha multiplied by factorial beta whole divided by alpha, factorial of alpha plus beta plus 1 multiplied by Lx. So this formula, in case of this natural coordinate system, we need to remember. Now this formula we have seen while discussing the natural coordinates in case of the one dimension. Now let us discuss the natural coordinate in case of two dimension. So the diagram, it is given here. We have considered a triangular element having three nodes, which can be seen in diagram figure 2.16. Now we have considered the P. A point P is the point which is inside the element, and it is having three coordinates L1, L2 and L3. Now from the definition of the natural coordinates, we know that L1 plus L2 plus L3, this is equals to 1. Actually, in case of the earlier one-dimensional system, we have seen that there was the L1 plus L2, this is equals to 1. Now in case of this two-dimensional coordinate, it is in case of this triangular element, we can write that is L1 plus L2 plus L3, this is equals to 1. Next, we can form two other equation also, that is L1x1 plus L2x2 plus L3x3, this is equals to x, and L1y1 plus L2y2 plus L3y3, this is equals to y. So these are the three different equations in case of natural coordinates in two dimensions. Next, if we assemble the above equations in the matrix form, so the matrix form of the equation number 2.5, 2.6 and 2.7 can be written as, in the matrix 1, 1, 1, then x1, x2, x3 and y1, y2, y3. This is within the matrix, then multiplied by the L1, L2, L3, so this is equals to 1, x and y. So that means again we need to follow the similar procedure that we have discussed in the one-dimensional natural coordinate system there. That means we need to find the inverse of this matrix. It is 1, 1, 1, 1, then x1, x2, x3 and y1, y2 and y3. Now if we do the inverse of this matrix, then after several steps we will get this final formula, that is the integration of the polynomial terms in natural coordinates for two-dimensional elements can be written like this. Integration A within the domain, it is L1 to the power alpha, then L2 to the power beta, L3 to the power gamma multiplied by dA. This is equals to factorial alpha multiplied by factorial beta multiplied by factorial gamma into twice A divided by factorial of alpha plus beta plus gamma plus 2. So this is our equation number 2.14. So this equation, that is equation number 2.14, and this earlier equation, that is 2.3, these two equations in case of the natural coordinates of one-dimensional and two-dimensional form, we need to remember while solving the numericals. Now let us discuss one problem based on this formula of the natural coordinate system. So the question is given as we need to calculate the value of the integration L1, L2, L3 dA. So if we use the two-dimensional expression of the natural coordinate system that we have seen in the earlier slide, so this equation number 2.14 we need to remember, and we need to use this numerical now. So the formula, it is L1 to the power alpha, L2 to the power beta, and L3 to the power gamma dA. Integration of this part, this is equals to factorial alpha factorial beta into factorial gamma multiplied by twice a divided by factorial of alpha plus beta plus gamma plus 2. So this formula we need to remember. We will use this formula to solve the present numerical. Now if we compare this equation number 1 and 2, then we can easily identify that the value of alpha, beta and gamma, these are actually 1 for this numerical. Now if we put this value of alpha, beta and gamma, then we will be writing the expression as factorial 1 multiplied by factorial 1 and multiplied by factorial 1 divided by factorial of 5. This is multiplied by twice a. Now factorial 1, this is actually 1, and factorial 5, that means multiplication of 5 into 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. So this is actually the concept of the factorial. So if we do this multiplication and use the concept of the factorial, then we will get the value of the given numerical. This is equals to a by 60. So this is the procedure by which we need to solve this numerical. So what we have done here, we have written the formula for the two-dimensional code of this natural coordinate system. So, and we have compared the value of the alpha, beta and gamma with the given numerical. There we have seen the value of the alpha, beta and gamma, this is actually 1. If we compare that, then we have entered those value of alpha, beta and gamma in the formula. So after that we had to calculate that part, and we have done the factorial of 5. So finally we are getting the value as a by 60 of this present numerical. Let us discuss the next numerical. So here we need to calculate the value of integration 0 to 1 L1 L2 dx. Now for that we need to go to the formula that we have seen here in this slide. So this is the, in case of the natural coordinate for one-dimensional system. So here we have seen this equation number 2.3. So this was the representation. So that is integration x1 to x2. This is L1 to the power alpha, L2 to the power beta dx. This is equals to factorial alpha into factorial beta divided by factorial alpha plus beta plus 1 multiplied by Lx. So this formula we will use now in the second numerical. First we have written this formula, that means we need to remember this formula clearly. After that, if we compare the left hand side of the formula with the equation or with the problem given, then we can see that the value of the powers of the L1 and L2 in the formula, it is alpha and beta, but in our given numerical no power is there, so that means the value of alpha and beta, this will be equals to 1. So that means what, if we enter the value of alpha and beta in the right hand side of the formula, then we need to write the factorial alpha factorial 1 multiplied by factorial 1 divided by factorial of 3, because the value of alpha and beta, these are equals to 1. Then we need to do the factorial of 3 only, so which is actually 6, that means 3 into 2 into 1. So that means the final value of this integration 0 to 1 L1 L2 dx using the formula we are getting here, this is actually L by 6. So these are the procedure by which we need to calculate the numericals based on the natural coordinate system for one-dimensional and two-dimensional system. So the important things that we have discussed in this numerical, let us move back to that part, which are actually this discretization and numbering of node parts. First, actually we have discussed this stress strain relationship and the strain displacement relationship. So this formula we need to remember to solve the numericals that we will be discussing in the next lectures. So this sigma equals to Young's modulus into strain, that means stress by strain, this is equals to Young's modulus, this formula, and the strain displacement relationship, that means strain, this is equals to du dx, and this thing we need to remember. After that, the discretization of any structure, that means the breakdown or the subdivision of any complex shape structure into smaller components, that means elements, we need to do very carefully. So this type of numerical we will discuss in the next lecture, that means we'll see that a bar which is given in figure 2.2, this type of bar shape will be given, but we need to do the discretization first, that means we need to convert this in a stepped shaft, we need to take into assumption this, and so after that we need to discretize, we need to subdivide it into the elements and the nodal points. So this type of numerical we will be discussing in the next lectures, and this concept of the discretization, it will be very much helpful. Then the numbering of nodes, how to number the different nodes, that earlier we have discussed the shorter side and longer side numbering process. Now here also we have seen the numbering process and the relationship in between the local number and global number, the concept of the local coordinate then global coordinate we have seen here. So this was the example of the global coordinate, and this was the example of the local coordinate system. So here from a global coordinate system we have divided it into 5 different local coordinate systems, and for each and every local coordinate system we have denoted the element and its corresponding nodes. Next we have seen the natural coordinate system and the derivation of the natural coordinate system in case of the one dimension. We have seen in the final formula, that is equation number 2.3, in case of the natural coordinate for one dimension we have seen here. In this similar manner we have discussed the natural coordinate in case of the two dimension, and there we have seen that after deriving this part, the final formula in case of the natural coordinate in case of this two dimension, this is like the equation number 2.14. Now this Based on these two different equations for the natural coordinates of one dimension and two dimensions, we have discussed two different numericals. So this is the end for this lecture today.